Before we get into this story, drop a comment and let us know what city you are watching from. And do not forget to rate the story from 0 to 10 at the end. The bookstore smells like old paper and something burnt from the coffee machine nobody fixed. Nova is standing in the poetry aisle, back against the shelf, completely unbothered by the fact that it is raining sideways outside and her jacket is soaked through. She is wearing an oversized vintage corduroy jacket in dusty terracotta, the kind with worn-out patches on the elbows. Under it, a white graphic tee with a faded stamp of a city skyline nobody recognizes. Straight-leg dark jeans, slightly cropped. Chunky black boots with one lace tied wrong. Her locks are half up, half falling out, held by a claw clip that is clearly losing the fight. No earrings. No makeup. A thin silver ring on her thumb that she keeps spinning when she thinks nobody is watching. She was not supposed to be in this city. The gallery internship she moved here for quietly went under 2 weeks ago. The email was 4 lines. No apology. She is staying because her sublet runs another month and because going back home means admitting something she is not ready to say out loud yet. The door swings open. Cold air hits first. Then him. He is tall, slightly out of breath, rain-dark hair pushed back like he ran here from somewhere. He is wearing a black mock-neck sweater, slim-fit khaki trousers with a clean crease, and white low-top sneakers that somehow survived the rain without looking tragic. A worn leather tote bag hangs off one shoulder. No umbrella. Clearly not planned. He scans the store fast. His eyes land on the poetry aisle. He heads straight for it. He stops 2 feet from Nova and reaches past her for a book on the top shelf. She does not move. He pulls the book out. Looks at the cover. Puts it back. Nova watches him from the corner of her eye. Wrong one, she says. He looks at her. Sorry? You made a face. That was the wrong book. He blinks. I didn't make a face. You did. It was small. But it was a face. He looks at the shelf like it betrayed him. I was looking for something that doesn't feel like homework. Nova pulls a slim book from the lower shelf without even looking. She holds it out. He takes it. Reads the back. Something shifts in his expression. He looks up at her. How did you know? I didn't. But you looked like someone who needed something honest, not something impressive. He stands there holding the book. The rain hammers the window. The coffee machine hisses. I'm Ren. Nova. Do you work here? No. Then why do you know this section better than the staff? She looks at him for a moment. Because I've been hiding in it for 2 weeks. He does not laugh at that. He just nods, like he understands completely. And that is the thing. He looks like he does. They end up at the 2-seater table near the window, rain blurring the street outside, 2 cups of coffee neither of them ordered properly. Nova learns that Ren talks in short, careful sentences, like someone who used to say too much and got burned for it. Ren learns that Nova has opinions about everything but shares them like she is doing you a favor. Neither of them checks the time. When the store closes, they walk out into the wet night and stand on the pavement. Same time tomorrow, he asks. She narrows her eyes. You don't even live near here. He looks at her. Then at the street. Then back at her. I know, he says. She does not say yes. She does not say no. She just starts walking. But here is what she does not know yet. Ren did not find this bookstore by accident. And the name Nova, her name, is written on a document sitting in a folder on his desk at home. What neither of them knows is how badly that is about to matter. She went back the next day. She told herself it was for the books. She even picked one up and pretended to read the first page for 6 minutes before she heard the door. Ren came in wearing a gray zip-up hoodie with a tiny logo she did not recognize, black straight-leg joggers, and the same white sneakers except this time they had a small scuff on the left toe like he actually lived in them. He had a notebook tucked under his arm. The old kind, spiral-bound, edges soft from use. He sat across from her like they had a reservation. She did not say anything. Neither did he. He just opened his notebook and started writing. That was it. That was the whole thing. They stayed for 2 hours. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they did not. Once, Nova started laughing at something she was reading and covered her mouth, and Ren looked up and she showed him the page and he laughed too, and it was the kind of moment that does not mean anything and means everything. By the third week, it had a rhythm. Nova started wearing her favorite oversized sage green bomber jacket, the one with the embroidered small star on the left chest pocket. High-waisted wide-leg beige trousers. White tank underneath. Her locks were always down now, pushed back with a soft brown headband. She started putting on her gold studs again. She did not think about why. Ren noticed. He did not say anything about it. But he noticed. One evening, the store was nearly empty, just them and the guy restocking the history section. The rain was back, lighter this time, more like a suggestion. "Why'd you really come to this city?" Ren asked. Not casually. He looked at her when he asked it. Nova closed her book. Internship at a visual arts gallery. It folded before I even started. So you stayed anyway. Didn't know how to leave without it feeling like I failed. He looked at the window. I know that feeling. What do you do? She asked. He paused. Just a half-second pause. But she caught it. I work in property development. Acquisitions mostly. You buy buildings. Sometimes. Do you like it? Another pause. I'm good at it. That's not what I asked. He looked at her then, and something in his face did something she did not have a word for. No, he said. Not really. She nodded. No pity. No advice. Just acknowledgement. That was the first real thing he ever said to her. After that, they talked differently. The kind of talking that peels things back slowly without either person realizing until they are already in too deep. Nova told him she used to paint murals before she decided to be practical. Ren told her he had a brother he had not spoken to in 3 years. She did not ask why. He appreciated that. On the 4th Thursday, walking out into the cold, Ren stopped on the pavement. There's an empty warehouse space 2 streets from here. Ground floor, north light, high ceilings. He said it like a fact. Just information. Nova stared at him. Why are you telling me that? Because you said north light is the only light worth painting in. She had said that 2 weeks ago. He remembered. She looked at him for a long moment. The streetlight made his face look like a photograph. Run. Yeah. What is this? He did not answer right away. He looked down the wet street. Then back at her. I don't know yet. But I don't want to stop finding out. She breathed in. Out. The cold air tasted like rain and something about to change. Okay, she said. Just okay. But her hands were shaking inside her jacket pockets, and it had nothing to do with the cold. What she still does not know is that the warehouse he mentioned is not just some empty space he happened to notice. His company owns it. Has for 18 months. And it is currently listed for demolition, scheduled for the same week her sublet ends. He knows this. He has known it this whole time. 3 days after the pavement conversation, Ren gave Nova access to the warehouse. He called it temporary. She called it more space than she had ever had in her life. The place was raw, unfinished. Concrete floors with old paint ghosts. Windows that let in columns of silver morning light. Nova walked in on a Tuesday wearing paint-stained olive cargo pants, a cropped black long sleeve, worn-down white sneakers, and a knit beanie she pulled halfway off her head the second the light hit her face. She stood in the middle of the room and did not say a single word for a full minute. Ren stood near the door watching her. "This is too much," she said finally. "It's just a room." "Run." "Nova." She turned around. Her eyes were doing something complicated. "Why are you being this good to me?" He crossed his arms. Leaned against the wall. "Because I can." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got right now." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she turned back to the empty walls and said, "Okay. But I'm painting the whole thing and you don't get to tell me what to put on it. Deal?" She started the next morning. For 2 weeks, the warehouse became her whole world. She painted like she was catching up on lost time, murals bleeding from one wall to the next. Cities made of faces. Skies that looked like grief. A figure standing on a rooftop looking at something just outside the frame. Ren came by every few days. He would bring food she did not ask for, sit on the floor, and watch her work. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes the music she had playing was enough. It was the closest thing to peace either of them had felt in years. Then on a Wednesday afternoon, Nova's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Froze. It was a news alert. Local property news. A photo of this building, the warehouse, with a headline about approved demolition permits and a redevelopment deal worth tens of millions. The company name in the article was Ren Capital Group. She put the phone down slowly. She picked up her brush. She finished the detail she was working on. Then she set the brush in the water jar and turned around. Ren was sitting on the floor, back against the wall, reading something on his phone. "Ren Capital Group," she said. He went very still. "That's you." He looked up. His face did not do the thing where people pretend to be confused. He just looked at her. Steady. Quiet. Like he had been waiting for this. "Yes," he said. "You own this building." "Yes." "And you knew it was being demolished when you gave me the keys." Silence. "Run." "Yes." His voice was low. "I knew." The room felt enormous suddenly. The murals she had painted looked like they were watching her. "Were you ever going to tell me?" He stood up. He did not come closer. He just stood there and let her look at him. "I was trying to figure out how." "How?" Her voice cracked on the word. "Not from crying. From something harder. You watched me pour everything into these walls and you knew the whole time they were coming down." "I know. That is not just a mistake, Run. That is a choice. Every single day you came here, that was a choice." He exhaled. "Yes. So what was I? Research? A liability you were managing?" "No." He said it fast. Sharp. Like the word came from somewhere it had been locked up. "You were the first thing in 3 years that made me feel like I was still a real person." She stared at him. The light was changing outside. Late afternoon bleeding into gold. "That doesn't fix it," she said. "I know it doesn't." She grabbed her bag off the floor. Walked past him toward the door. Stopped with her hand on the frame. "How long until they tear it down?" 2 weeks. She nodded. Once. Like she was filing that information somewhere deep and cold. Then she walked out. Ren stood in the middle of the murals. Surrounded by everything she made. His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. It was his business partner. A one-line message. "Final sign-off tomorrow. You sure about the demolition?" He stood there for a long time. Then he put the phone in his pocket without replying. She did not go back to the bookstore. She did not go back to the warehouse either. She packed up her apartment in slow, deliberate moves, like someone choosing not to feel things in the correct order. She wore the same outfit 3 days running. An old oversized navy sweatshirt she bought at a thrift store years ago. Faded black joggers. Slides. Hair wrapped in a dark green silk scarf. The kind of look that says I have made peace with comfort and given up on everything else. Ren tried to reach her. 3 texts. 1 call she let ring out. A note slipped under her apartment door she read once and put face down on the counter. On day 4, she went to the warehouse. Not for him. For the walls. She stood in front of the last mural she had been working on. The one she never finished. A figure on a rooftop looking at something just outside the frame. Her chest ached in a way she did not know what to do with. She heard the door. She did not turn around. "I'm not signing it," Ren said. She turned around then. He was standing at the entrance in a simple black tracksuit, fresh white sneakers, no bag. He looked like he had not slept. His jaw was tight and his eyes had that thing again, that solving something look, except this time whatever he was solving was himself. "What?" she said. "The demolition. I'm not signing the final approval." She stared at him. "Run, this is a multi-million-dollar deal. I know what it is. You can't just blow that up. I can do whatever I want with something I own. That's literally what ownership means." She exhaled sharply. "This is not about the building. I know it's not about the building. So what is it about?" He walked further into the room. Stopped in front of the mural with the figure on the rooftop. "When I was 24, he said, my brother and I built this company together. We had nothing. We slept on an air mattress in an office we couldn't afford. He had this idea about acquiring undervalued spaces in developing neighborhoods, flipping them into something the community actually needed." He paused. "I thought that was too slow. Too idealistic. I took a different investment route. Faster. Bigger. I didn't tell him until the contracts were signed. He found out the way you found out about this building. Online. In a news alert. Nova said nothing. He called me. I didn't have a good answer then either. And he left the company and I told myself he was being emotional. And I have spent 3 years being so efficient and so fast and so clean about every decision that I stopped noticing when I was hurting people until they were already gone." The room was very quiet. "I'm not doing that again," he said. "You should still sign the deal," she said softly. "That's your company. Your partner. Your future. Nova. I'm serious. I'm not worth you burning that down." He looked at her. "What if I've already decided you are?" She felt it hit her somewhere she was not prepared for. "That's a sacrifice, Run. Not a gesture. That's a real thing. I know what it is. You'll resent me. I won't. You don't know that. I know that every decision I have made for 10 years has been about growth and return and expansion. And I know that standing in this room with you is the first time any of it has felt worth anything." Silence stretched between them. The light came through the north windows the way it always did. Silver and honest. Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen. A number she did not recognize. She almost let it go. But something made her answer. "Nova Reyes?" The voice was official. Dry. "Yes. This is the Meridian Arts Foundation. We received your portfolio submission from an anonymous source. We'd like to talk about a residency." She went completely still. She looked at Run. He looked at the floor. "You submitted my portfolio," she said. not a question. He did not answer. When? Before you found out about the building. He looked up. I was going to tell you. I just wanted to do something right before you figured out I'd done something wrong. She stood there in the warehouse she painted from floor to ceiling, phone still in her hand, the city humming outside like it had no idea what was happening in this room. Tell me this isn't another thing you managed, she said. It's not. I sent them the photos you had on your phone. The ones you left open one day when you went to get coffee. I didn't add a single word. Your work did the rest. She looked up at the murals. All of it. Every wall. She pressed the phone back to her ear. I'm listening, she said. 6 months later. The Meridian Residency is in a converted textile building on the east side of the city. Nova has a studio on the 3rd floor with north-facing windows that let in the kind of light she described once to a stranger in a bookstore. She works every morning until her hands ache. Her name is on a wall downstairs next to the other residents. She still spins the silver ring on her thumb when she thinks nobody is watching. Today she is wearing a loose off-white linen button-down, left half tucked into wide rust-colored trousers, and tan leather sandals. Her locks are down, no headband, just free. She looks like someone who finally stopped bracing for the next bad thing. The warehouse got torn down in the end. Ren signed the deal. It was the right call. It was a complicated, imperfect, necessary call. His partner needed it. The company needed it. He told Nova before he signed. He sat across from her at a small table in the residency courtyard and told her the truth with no softening. I have to sign it, he said. I know, she said. I wanted to blow it up for you. I know that too. I didn't want you to. Yeah. The murals were already inside me, Run. Tearing down a wall doesn't take them back. He nodded. Looked at his hands. I called my brother. She looked up. And? He didn't hang up. She exhaled. That's something. It's a start. They sat in the courtyard for a while after that. No urgency. No unfinished business hanging in the air. Just two people who had been messy and honest with each other and were still somehow here. Ren has been different in the months since. Not fixed, that is not how people work. But open in a way he was not before. He shows up to her studio sometimes on Sunday mornings with coffee and his spiral notebook. He reads. She paints. The silence between them is the good kind. He called her once at midnight, 3 months in, voice low and a little undone. I still think about the warehouse sometimes. Like I should have found another way. You couldn't have. Doesn't stop me thinking it. That's not guilt, Run. That's just caring about something. You're allowed to do that. Long pause. Nova. Yeah. I think I'm really in love with you and I wanted to say it out loud before I talked myself out of it. She sat with that for a second. The city was quiet outside her window. Her unfinished canvas was lit by the lamp across the room. I know, she said. That's it? I love you back. I just didn't say it first because you needed to get there on your own. He laughed. That low, startled laugh she first heard in a bookstore in the rain. You could have just told me. Would you have believed it? He thought about it. No. Probably not. Exactly. Today, Nova is standing in front of a new mural on the residency wall. It is the one she never finished in the warehouse. The figure on the rooftop looking at something just outside the frame. Except now, she has painted what the figure is looking at. It is not a skyline. It is not a city. It is another person, standing a few feet away, looking back. She hears the door at the far end of the hall. Familiar footsteps. The smell of coffee before she even sees him. Ren stops behind her. Looks at the wall. Goes quiet in the way that means something got to him. You finished it, he says. Yeah. When? This morning. He studies it for a long moment. The two figures. Looking at each other. Is that us? He asks. She picks up her brush. Dips it. Looks at the wall. It's anyone who decided to stay, she says. He stands next to her. Shoulder against shoulder. The north light comes through the windows, steady and silver and true. Outside, the city keeps moving. Loud and indifferent and full of people on the edge of something they do not have words for yet. Inside, there is just this. Two people and a wall and all the light they let in. The end.